Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Radhe Krishna. Hare Krishna. Sutta Uvacha. Chagrihe Paurusham Rupam Bhagavan Mahadadibihi Sambhutam Shodasha Kalmadau Loka Sishri Kshaya.
Sutta said, in the beginning of the creation, the Lord first expanded himself in the universal form of the Purusha, incarnation, and manifested all the ingredients for the material creation. And thus at first there was the creation of the 16 principles of material action. This was for the purpose of creating the material universes.
Yasyam bhasi sayanasya yoga nidram vitanvataha nabhi hridam bujadasid Brahma Vishwa Srijampatihi.
Sorry, Mataji, could you just lift it up so I can see the translation? Thank you. It is believed that all the universal planetary systems are situated on the...
Bhanu Mataji, you're reading translation for text 3. We are on text 3.
Oh, I'm sorry. Apologies. A part of the Purusha lies down within the water of the universe. From the navel lake of his body sprouts a lotus stem, and from the lotus flower atop this stem, Brahma, the master of all engineers in the universe, becomes manifest.
Yasya vayava samsthanaya kalpito loka vistaraha tadvai bhagavato rupam vishuddham sattvam urjitam.
It is believed that all the universal planetary systems are situated on the extensive body of the Purusha, but he has nothing to do with the created material ingredients. His body is eternally in spiritual existence par excellence.
Ashyanti yado rupam adhabra chakshusha sahasrapadoru pujanad bhutam sahasramurdha shravanakshinasikam sahasramolyambara kundalolasat.
The devotees, with their perfect eyes, see the transcendental form of the Purusha, who has thousands of legs, thighs, arms, and faces, all extraordinary. In that body, there are thousands of heads, eyes, ears, and noses. They are decorated with thousands of helmets and glowing earrings and are adorned with garlands.
Etananavataranam nidhanam bijam avyayam yasyam shamsena srijyante devatiryanaradayaha.
This form, the second manifestation of the Purusha, is the source and indestructible seed of multifarious incarnations within the universe. From the particles and portions of this form, different living entities, like demigods, men, and others, are created.
स एव प्रथमं देवः कौमारं सर्गमाश्रितः चचार दुश्चरं ब्रह्मा ब्रह्मचर्यम् अखण्डितम्.
First of all, in the beginning of creation, there were the 4 unmarried sons of Brahma, the Kumaras, who, being situated in a vow of celibacy, underwent severe austerities for realization of the absolute truth.
द्वितीयं तु भवायस्य रसातलगतां महिम् उद्धरिष्यन् उपादत यज्ञेशः सौकरं वपुः.
The supreme enjoyer of all sacrifices accepted the incarnation of a boar, the second incarnation. And for the welfare of the earth, he lifted the earth from the nether regions of the universe.
तृतीयं ऋषि सर्गं वै देवर्षित्वम् उपेत्य सः तन्त्रं सात्वतम् आचष्ट नैष्कर्म्यं कर्मणां यतः.
In the millennium of the rishis, the personality of Godhead accepted the third empowered incarnation in the form of Dev Rishi Narad, who is a great sage among the demigods. He collected expositions in the Vedas which deal with devotional service and which inspire non-fruitive action.
तुर्ये धर्मकला सर्गे नर नारायणा वृषि भूत्वात्मा पाशमोपेतम् अकरोद्दुश्चरं तपः.
In the 4th incarnation, the Lord became Nara and Narayan, and the twin sons of the wife of King Dharma. Thus he undertook severe and exemplary penances to control the senses.
पंचमः कपिलो नाम सिद्धेशः कालविप्लुतम् प्रोवाचासुरये सांख्यं तत्त्वग्रामाविनिर्णयम्.
The 5th incarnation, named Lord Kapila, is the foremost among the perfected beings. He gave an expansion of the creative element and metaphysics to Asuri Brahmana. For in course of time, this knowledge has been lost.
षष्ठम् अत्रेरपत्यत्वं व्रतः प्राप्तो नासूयया आन्वीक्षि किम् अलर्काय प्रहलादा दिभ्य ऊचिवान्.
The 6th incarnation of the Purusha was the son of the sage Attari. He was born from the womb of Anasuya, who prayed for an incarnation. He spoke on the subject of transcendence to Alarka, Prahlad, and others, Yadu, Hayaya, etc.
ततः सप्तम आकुट्यां रुचेर्यज्ञोऽभ्य जायत स यामाद्येह सुरागणैर् अपात् स्वायम्भुवान्तरम्.
The 7th incarnation was Yagna, the son of Prajapati Ruchi and his wife Akuti. He controlled the period during the change of the Swayambhuvamanu and was assisted by demigods such as his son Yama.
अष्टमे मेरुदेव्यां तु नाभेर्जाट उरुक्रमः दर्शयन् वर्त्मादिरानां Sarvashrama Namaskritam.
The eighth incarnation was King Rishabh, son of King Nabi and his wife Meru Devi. In this incarnation, the Lord showed the path of perfection, which is followed by those who have fully controlled their senses and who are honored by all orders of life.
ऋषिभिर्याचितो भेजे नवमं पार्थिवं वपुः दुग्धे माम् ओषधिर्विप्रास्तेनायं स उषत्तमः.
O Brahmanas, in the ninth incarnation, the Lord prayed for by sages accepted the body of a king, Prithu, who cultivated the land to yield various produce, and for that reason the earth was beautiful and attractive.
रूपं स जागृहे मात्स्यं चक्षुषोदधि सम्प्लवे नाव्यारोप्य महिमय्यम् अपाद्वैवास्वतं मनुम्.
When there was a complete inundation after the period of the Chakshusha Manu, and the whole world was deep within water, the Lord accepted the form of a fish and protected Vaivasya Manu, keeping him up on a boat.
सुरासुराणाम् उदाधिं मथ्नतां मन्दराचलं दध्रे कामथारूपेण पृष्ठा एकादशे विभुः.
The 11th incarnation of the Lord took the form of a tortoise, whose shell served as a pivot for the Mandarachala hill, which was being used as a churning rod by the theists and the atheists of the universe.
धान्वन्तरं द्वादश मां त्रयोदशमम् एव च अपायायत् सुरान् अन्यान् मोहिन्या मोहयन् स्त्रिया.
In the 12th incarnation, the Lord appears as Dhanvantari, and in the 13th, he allured the atheists by the charming beauty of a woman and gave nectar to the demigods to drink.
चतुर्दशं नारसिंहं बिभ्रत् दैत्येन्द्रम् ऊर्जितं ददाराकराजैरुराव एरकां कतकृत् यथा.
In the 14th incarnation, the Lord appears as Narsimha and bifurcated the strong body of the atheist Hiranyakashipu and with his nails, just as a carpenter pierces cane.
पञ्चदशं वामनकं कृत्वा गाद् अध्वरं बलेह पदत्रयं याचमानः प्रत्यादित्सु स्त्रीपिष्ठपम्.
In the 15th incarnation, the Lord assumed the form of a dwarf Brahmana, Vamana, and visited the arena of sacrifice arranged by Maharaj Bali. Although at heart he was willing to regain the kingdom of the three planetary systems, he simply asked for a donation of 3 steps of land.
अवतारे षोडश मे पश्यन् ब्रह्मा द्रुहो नृपान् त्रिः सप्ता कृत्वः कूपितो निः क्षत्राम् अकरोन्महिम्.
In the 16th incarnation of the Godhead, the Lord as Bhrugupati annihilated the administrative class, Kshatriyas, 21 times, being angry with them because of their rebellion against the Brahmanas, the intelligent class.
Tataha saptadashe jataha Satyavatyam parasharat Chakre Veda taroho Shakha Drishtva Pumsholpa Medhasaha.
Thereafter, in the 17th incarnation of Godhead, Sri Vyasadeva appeared in the womb of Satyavati through Parasamuni, and he divided the one Veda into several branches and sub-branches, seeing that the people in general were less intelligent.
Nara devatvam apanaha Sura karya chikirshaya Samudra nigrahadini Chakre viryanya taha param.
In the 18th incarnation, the Lord appeared as King Ram. In order to perform some pleasing work for the demigods, he exhibited superhuman powers by controlling the Indian Ocean and then killing the atheist king Ravana, who was on the other side of the sea.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mamta Mataji and Bhavna Mataji. Thank you very much.
Sorry for the mistakes, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
No problem. Right. Okay, I hope you all are well. I'm seeing you all after, I wouldn't say 2 months because I did see you in between while I was in India. Just give me 1 minute. I'll share the screen. Right, okay. Start the slideshow. So you can see the screen now. So today we are going to recite from Canto 1, Chapter 3, Verse 9. Before we do that, we'll just say our prayers. Narayanam namaskritam naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayamudiraet. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead Narayan, unto Naranarayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. This verse really wonderfully relates to our verse that we are going to study today. So today's verse is verse 9 from chapter 3. Turye dharma kala sarge nara narayana vrishi bhutvat mopa samopetam akaro duscharam tapaha. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. In the fourth incarnation, the Lord became Nara and Narayan, the twin sons of the wife of King Dharma. Thus he undertook severe and exemplary penances to control the senses. Does anybody want to read the purport? It's a really small purport. If not, then I shall just read it. Okay, I'm just going to read it then.
Hare Krishna. Hare Bol, can I read, please?
Yes, please, go ahead.
Hare Krishna. So, do I have to say the synonyms and the translation also, or only the purport?
Just the purport, just the purport.
Thank you. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Asking Rishabha advised his sons tapasya or voluntary acceptance of penances for realization of the transcendence. It is the only duty of the human being. It was so done by the Lord himself in an exemplary manner to teach us. The Lord is very kind to the forgetful souls. He therefore comes himself and leaves behind necessary instructions, and also sends his good sons as representative to call all the conditioned souls back to Godhead. Recently, within the memory of everyone, Lord Chaitanya also appeared for the same purpose, to show special favor to fallen souls of this age of iron industry. The incarnation of Narayana is worshipped still at the Padri Narayana on the range of the Himalayas. Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you. Thank you, Mataji. Thank you so much. We'll just recite our Mangalacharan prayers before we discuss this verse. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatirubhascha Kripa Sindhubheva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Nam Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschata Deshatarine. Okay, so this chapter, as we are seeing, we've already discussed, you've discussed 8 verses. I have not been part of it, but you've discussed 8 verses of this chapter. And this chapter is entitled Krishna and his various incarnations. So now we are discussing the 4th incarnation, where the Lord becomes the twin sons of the wife of King Dharma. The wife of King Dharma actually is called Murti, and she is the daughter of Daksha. So the Lord becomes Nar and Narayan. What we will do today is, this verse doesn't, the main thing to study in this verse is how did Nar and Narayan, why did they incarnate? As we have read previously in the Bhagavad Gita, that whenever there is a spread of adharma, Krishna says that he comes again and again to control this. So let us see why Krishna incarnates as the twin sons Nar and Narayan. So this story goes back right at the beginning, because this is the 4th incarnation and this is right at the beginning of creation. At that time, there was a very, very powerful king called, so there was a very powerful king who was called King Dambodh Bhava. And if you break down the words, it means actually Dham, and Udbhava means he has come from Dham. And what is Dambo? It is, I was trying to research this, what exactly is Dambo. And in fact, in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 16, verse 4, the word Dambo, Sanskrit word, is described as pride. So he is coming from pride. And so we can understand that he was somebody, he was an asur, a demon, who was very proud of himself. Most of the asurs that we study in our Srimad Bhagavatam, and we see how Krishna subdues them, but most of them are actually looking at how they can satisfy their senses, or how they can always looking for sense gratification. So this king was also the same. And what he wanted was, as a lord of asurs want, more power. And how you can get more power is if he becomes immortal, that there is no way that anybody can kill him. And for that, what he did is he performed severe austerities to the Surya god, Surya Dev. He performed austerities to Surya. And as we have seen previously, we have various examples where these asuras perform austerities to demigods. And demigods are duty bound to then appear before them. And that is exactly what happened here. When this demon performed his austerities, the Surya god appeared before him and he asked him, "What do you want?" So Dambodva said, "I want to become immortal." And at that time, the Lord said, Suryadev said, "I myself am not immortal. How can I give you this boon?" This story is reflecting another story from our Bhagavatam. Does anybody want to share which story it is reflecting? It's almost going simultaneous. Anybody would like to share?
Hiranyakashipu.
Exactly. So it is exactly reflecting the same thing what happened there. Where Hiranyakashipu was praying to Lord Brahma, he wanted to become immortal. And then Lord Brahma said, "I cannot make you immortal. I cannot give you a boon which I myself don't have." And so here again, Surya Dev says the same thing. He says that anybody who is born, whoever is born will die, right? And we have this beautiful verse from the Bhagavad Gita where it says, "One who has taken his birth is sure to die. And after death, one is sure to take birth again," right? So the demigod Suryadev says to the demon that, "I cannot give you this boon because anybody who takes birth is definitely going to die. So it is not in my hands." But the demon was intelligent. It wasn't that he was very intelligent. He knew what he wanted. So like Hiranyakashipu, he tried to ask for a boon which would make him almost immortal, even if not completely immortal. So he said to the Lord, he said that, "All right, then you give me this boon. You give me 1,000 armor." The kavach that you have, the armor which soldiers wear when they go on battlefield. So he said, "You give me 1,000 such armor." And he said that anybody who tries to have a battle with me should perform austerities for 1,000 years. And even when he fights with me, only one armor will break. So he will be able to penetrate only one armor. And after that, he will lose his life. So you see how many things he asked for, right? Let's look at it again. 1,000 armor. He said, "Give me 1,000 armors." Second, he said that whoever wants to fight with me should perform austerities for 1,000 years. The third thing he said was, whoever fights with me can penetrate or break through only one armor. After the 1,000-year austerities, when he fights, he can break through only one armor. And the fourth he said is, once he breaks through that armor, he will die. The person who's fighting, so the soldier who's fighting will die. So this was for him, he thought that this is a boon where I can become almost immortal. Because he's asked for 1,000 armors, 1,000 years a person has to perform austerities. Of course, in those times, people did have amazingly long lives. We cannot even comprehend, because today, if somebody lives for even 80 years, one says, "Oh my God, he's lived such a long life." But those days, they lived for hundreds and hundreds and thousands of years. However, when he requested this and he asked this from Suryadev, like I said, the demigods are bound. When a person performs austerities, the demigods are bound to give you these kinds of boons. And so Suryadev did grant him this boon. Obviously, when he got this boon, the demon thought that, now nobody can harm me. And he felt himself to become extremely powerful. And as soon as such things happen with asuras, the first thing they want to do is they want to break the order of the society. So he started troubling, causing a lot of problems to the sages, to the other inhabitants. He wanted to break the norms of society, did not want to follow any law and order. And that is exactly what he did, because he thought of himself that he thought he is extremely powerful. Nobody can do anything to him. So at this time, such people, in fact, asuras, that is why they are called Indrari. Indrari means enemies of Indra. Why are they called enemies of Indras? Because we've studied there are two groups of people, right? The demon and the demigods. The head of the demigods is Lord Indra. So, and the demons are always against Lord Indra and the demigods. So they are called Indrari. This word you will study in fact, in this chapter itself, verse 28, you will study this verse, this word. So I will not go too much deep into it. So seeing this condition of society, obviously the pious people were upset, not happy with what is happening. And Murti, the wife of Dharma, who is the daughter of Daksha, she was upset. She was very, very upset. And she could not bear to see how the good people are being troubled. And so she started praying to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. She started praying to him because she was not happy seeing what is going on. So then the Lord came, he appeared in front of her and he asked her, what do you want? Again, we are seeing a simultaneous story. Again, I will not go deep into that, but we are seeing a simultaneous story. People who are recollecting the story of Hiranyakashipu and, Diti and Aditi and all of these, you will remember this. So here the Lord appeared in front of Murti and he asked her, what do you want? And she recounted what is going on. She said that, as you can see, there is a demon amongst us. He was also called Sahasra Kavach. Sahasra means 1,000 and he had these Kavach. So he was also called Sahasra Kavach. So when she was talking to the Lord, she said, this demon is causing so much distress in society, to the demigods, to your arrangements. So please do something. You please do something to stop him. And the Supreme Lord said, all right, I will come as your sons, right? And that is how then Naranarayan Rishi, the twin sons of Dharma, were born. They were born, they appeared in order to, we shouldn't say born because the Lord just appears, but in one sense, they appeared from the womb of Murti. And they appeared in order to get rid of this particular demon, Sahasra Kavach. So in due course of time, there was a conflict because Sahasra Kavach was ruling over the entire planet and he was plundering and he was disturbing everybody. And while doing so, in due course of time, he also reached Badrikashram. Badrikashram was the place where Narayan rishis were performing austerities. So he reached Badrikashram. When he reached there, he saw Nara. He saw Nara Rishi coming in front of him with absolutely no fear and challenging him. So this demon says to him, do you not know who I am? I am so-and-so. I have this boon from Surya Dev. And he was recounting what he has and who he is and what he's been doing, At that moment, Nara obviously was not scared of him because, he's the incarnation of the Lord. And so this Asura says to him that in order to fight with me, you will have to perform austerities for 1,000 years. So the Rishi said, I have already done that. So he said, all right, then let us fight. And so then the fighting continued for 1,000 years while Narayan was performing austerities. And towards the end, what happened is that Nara Rishi was able to break through the armor of the Asura. But as the boon granted to him, as soon as the armor was broken, Nara Rishi apparently fell unconscious, or one could say died. As we know, this is the Leela of the Lord. So the Lord doesn't really die, but this is how the drama was unfolding. As soon as this happened, then Narayan Rishi, who was performing austerities, came out. And rather than walking towards the Asura to kind of fight with him or kill him, he went straight to his twin brother Nar. And he chanted the Sanjeevani mantras, the prayers, in order to revive him again. So his brother woke up and he walked into the cave to perform his austerities. And then Narayan Rishi started having the fight with this Asura, with Sahasra Kavaj. He started this fight. And then what happened? The fight went on for another 1,000 years. 1,000 years the austerity was performed, and then the fight went on, and he broke through the Kavaj. When he broke through the Kavaj, he fainted, apparently died. At that time, Nara Rishi came out, he chanted the prayers, revived him back again. So this went on for 999 years, till all of his Kavaj were broken except for one. And when only one Kavaj was left, at that time the Asur thought, I cannot stay here any longer and fight with these two brothers. I have to run for my life. And so he ran away. He ran away and he went to Suryadev, because Suryadev is his worshipable deity. So he ran to Suryadev and he asked for protection. So he hid behind Suryadev asking for protection. At that time, Narayan also chased him. And he went to Suryadev and he said that this is an evil person and you should not be giving protection to this evil man. Let him out. Let me kill him. And at that time, Suryadev said that, he's come in my shelter. He's taken protection from me. And so I cannot really, let him be harmed by you. At that time, we all know this, like even if we are not spiritualists, we know that doing something wrong or sinful is wrong, but also giving shelter to something that is not correct is sinful as well. So at that time, Narayan was very, very upset with Suryadev. And he said that because of you not obeying my orders, you both will go down as human beings. So here what happens is that...
You said children?
Like some sort of
Sorry, there's
slave.
some background
It
sound.
looks like it.
You should have done it, man. We had long days at work.
Sorry. Okay. So at this moment, what happens is that he gives this curse. Now, this is the absolutely interesting bit. Can anybody make a guess who this Asura comes as? Any guesses? No? So this Asura, during Mahabharata, or in the time of Mahabharata, he comes as Karna. As we all know, most of us know that Karna was born with a Kavaj. We know that at least, yeah, that he was born with a Kavaj. So this is the same Asura who had been given these 1,000 Kavaj. 999 Kavaj were broken, but there was this one Kavaj which was left as a boon of Suryadev. So in Mahabharata, he came down, he incarnated as Karna. And the Narayan Rishis, they came as Arjuna and Krishna. And thus the battle continued between Narayan Rishi and the Asura, and eventually Arjuna was then able to kill Karna. So this is the background story of Narayan Rishi, why they incarnated, what happened, and all of this. However, what is important to understand over here is that we are reading this chapter. This says Krishna and his various incarnations. Yes, we read or we understand that Narayan came first and then Krishna and Arjuna. But this verse, which is called the Emperor verse of the Bhagavatam, What is an emperor verse? Emperor verse is which gives the sum and substance of the entire book. So this verse is called the emperor verse. And it says here, Ete chamsha kala pumsha Krishna stu bhagavan swayam. Indrari vyakulam lokam mridayanti yuge yuge. So here, very clearly it is saying Krishna stu bhagavan swayam. So in terms of sometimes one, and that is where the confusion comes. Even in India, people ask these questions, but Ram came first. How can Ram be an incarnation of Krishna? So see, avatar means one who descends. When Krishna comes down in this human form in Vrindavan, he is descending. But actually, Krishna is the avatari. He is the original. Krishna stu Bhagavan Swayam. All of these incarnations are plenary portions of Krishna. Krishna is the original. When he comes down as a human form, because he comes in a different period, one may think that he came after Ram or he came after Narsingadev. However, that is because he has to come and perform some leelas. But the original Krishna is always the avatari, where all the incarnations come from him. So I thought that is an important point before we move on. So we will notice that is why you see Kamsa has this kind of split personality. Kamsa has a lot of demoniac qualities, but then he has a lot of very, very great virtues which the demigods have. Like he is so charitable. He is, he wants to do the right thing. That is because he's got these virtues from Suryadev, but he's still got demoniac qualities also. So anyways, let me just see. This is just some verses from the Bhagavatam, which gives us references of Nar-Narayan Rishi, where it says that even today, Nar-Narayan Rishi are performing austerities in Badrikashram for the well-being of the entire humankind. In the Bhagavatam, there are various references, even in the 11th canto, 4th chapter, there is reference of Nar-Narayan Rishi. So I just thought it'll be interesting to bring this verse up also. But that's it. I think I'm just going to stop sharing and then, yes. So that's for today's verse, just about how Nar-Narayan Rishi incarnated, why they came, what was the reason behind their incarnation. As we know, Krishna always descends in order to put order in society. That is what he comes for. We've read that in the Bhagavad Gita. So I shall stop here. It is almost 8:30. If there are any questions or comments, please unmute yourselves. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Mataji, thank you so much for a wonderful class. It was very nicely explained. Thank you so much. My Dhanvat Pranam.
Thank you.
Mataji, can I ask a silly question, if I may?
Yeah.
So Mataji, why do demigods go and give all these boons? And then it all creates havoc everywhere. I mean, it's nice to have Krishna come down. That's wonderful. But sometimes I feel, do they not understand that this person is a demon? Let's not give him I'm sure they understand that, but let's not give them the boon.
Namrata Mataji, there are so many aspects one can answer this question in so many different ways. I will take the easy way and I will say that Krishna always wants to teach us lessons, and he can teach us lessons through various pastimes, right? Unless there are these pastimes, see, unfortunately, human beings are such, we have levels of learning as well. Some may learn just by hearing, some may learn by seeing, some may learn only if it happens to us. So that is one of the things. The other thing is that Krishna also likes to have various kinds of leelas. And he cannot have all the leelas in Goloka Vrindavan, because over there, everybody is in the mood of service. So if he wants to have this kind of, a fight with somebody or war, he doesn't have that. So he wants those leelas. And the third thing is that the demigods, that is why it is easy to please demigods, because the demigods are duty bound. It is their role that if somebody pleases them, see, that is why we say it is so easy to please Lord Shiva, and Lord Shiva will grant you the boons. Whereas it is very, very difficult to please Krishna, because Krishna will only give you what is right for you. So there are various aspects, like I said, of answering this question. The most important aspect I would say is that all these leelas are performed by Krishna so that we can learn. We take these examples and learn what we should not be doing.
That's very clear, Mataji. Thank you so much. Hare
No
Krishna.
problem. Any other comments or questions? No questions? That's nice. Okay, so if there are no comments, no questions, then I shall end here, and all being well, I shall see you next Wednesday. Thank you very much. Vancha kalpatrubhascha kripa sindhubhaiः
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Thank you.
Thank
you, Mataji.
Wonderful
Thank you,
class.
Madhu Kumari. Nice story, Mataji. Thank you so
Hare
much.
Krishna devotees.
you.
All the